Alright, folks. Let me get back to it. We're trying to play some catch-up here with the faction-focus articles that Games Workshop has coming up fast and furious. I got a little behind due to some chaos in real life over the last week, but we're past that now, and I'm trying to get back to you with more of this content as we are in the run-up to 10th edition. As always, please remember to like, subscribe, comment down below. Leave us a quick pound Valkyrie for the pooch if you can, and that would really help us out. And click the notifications bell for more great content from Wilderness Wargaming. And without further ado, let's take a look at the Votann. So, going into the Votann got a really bad rap coming out, and it's kind of unfair because, the problem is when a faction comes out and it's really gets overpowered, the players that play it tend to get a bad rap for playing, oh, you're playing the overpowered faction, you're meta chasing. Well, it wasn't like Games Workshop was going to come out with these and people weren't going to play them. I remember, for example, over on Goonhammer, there were some articles when they first came out, and they pretty much demonstrated how broken they were at release, which Games Workshop attempted to remedy with a lot of points increases, which then made them a lot less numerous than they were really supposed to be on the tabletop. And the whole army was kind of broken and revolved around the land fortress, especially with its absurd gun and the way that you could with the right selections put a leader next to it. I don't know the army well enough to remember which one, but give it an auto 6 on a roll. So therefore, all it had to do was hit. Probably got to reroll the ones on the hit roll. Then you could automatically get a 6 to wound. So you'd wound pretty much anything. And then it ignored invulns, and it spilled damages if they were mortals. So the damage spill is actually better than mortals, in a way, because you could ignore invulns. The only thing if you were really high armor save, you could still save against it because it was only a -4 AP rather than the -6 that the Tau railgun had. But it was just insane because it was basically a delete key. You could play and it completely invalidated a lot of defenses of a lot of armies. It was just bonkers because you could, especially one wound models, you could just, oh, boom, squad gone, oh, boom, squad gone. Oh, it didn't matter how tough it was. Anything like a dreadnought, no, you're just taking all these wounds and there's nothing you could do about it. The only real defense you could get was damage reduction or wound shrugs, or possibly, I guess, the phase caps for a few units, but those are few and far between. Anyhow, I don't want to rant about too much, but the problem is, players got blamed for doing this. I was like, well, it isn't the player's fault that Games Workshop did that, and it's not really fair to claim that people, as one Goonhammer article put it, oh, you're a terrorist if you play these. Like, look, guys, um, it's not cool to be saying stuff like that. People have been waiting for decades for these to come back out. Some people weren't even born yet when they kind of went away the first time, and people were excited about it legitimately. So don't be blaming people for playing the Votann. Now that said, if you are playing an obviously broken army like the Votann were when they came out, with their original points values, it is kind of on you not to exploit that too much. From their results now, it doesn't look like they've remained horribly broken. That more experienced players have been pretty good at dealing with them, but they have still been a real problem for casual play. They really can be, especially in cases where you're not playing with as strict or tight terrain, things like that. Oh, that was another problem. There's a lot of ignoring cover going on with them, and that is one of the rules that I put out in my video about what should and shouldn't happen in 10th edition. I would have liked to seen that gone. I don't like ignore cover. If it's going to be there, it should be exceedingly rare. But enough about that. Let's get into the army itself. Okay, faction rules. They do look nice. I do like them, and I like the Space Dwarf motif. I like the fact that they've gotten away from the original attempt to make them a biker gang in space, too. Or biker club, I should say. No disrespect to any motorcycle clubs out there. I don't. I do agree with you guys that calling you a gang is not the right thing to do, and I apologize. Okay. Let's see. Eye of the Ancestor. So now we're down to 2 judgment tokens. And you're going to get a +1 to hit and a +1 to wound for the judgment tokens. This is better. We're getting away from that auto wound stuff. That's a lot better. You're not just bypassing massive gates and invalidating toughness. That's really good that's out of there. Oh, yeah, that's right. I misspoke earlier. They'd take the auto 6 to hit on something that already had a grudge token, and then they just bypass the wound roll outright. That was how the rail cannon or the Magna rail cannon got to be the delete key. Okay. Little string autocannon with glowing plasma axis. I have to admit, plasma axis sound really cool. But yeah, this is a very strong rule. The ruthless efficiency. You gain extra command points. Okay, this is um unit starts the battle with 2 judgment tokens. Now, this here, I can see ways to really bait this. Because this is at the start of the battle. If you can have if you have some ability to redeploy, like the Phantasm stratagem that Eldari have, or the Castellan's Mark for the Custodes, I can see ways to bait this onto, or force the enemy to put it on something less than ideal. You can deploy some stuff forward, and then if you're going to choose first what to redeploy once you find out who has the first turn, you could leave them sticking it on something very inferior, and if they're going first, or if they're going first with putting the ability, and then you get to do your redeploy, you could just redeploy that unit back conceivably somewhere well protected or very inconvenient to target, and that could make things very uncomfortable. Now, the incentive here is to put it on an easy to destroy unit. You put it on either a unit that's a high priority target that you're going to focus down anyhow, like say Tau battles crisis suits, or something like maybe a large assault terminator squad, or you put it on something relatively easy to destroy, such as something like a minimum size battle sister squad that really isn't that durable, and you focus it as quick as you can just to snatch these command points. This is going to require very careful. I think this sounds better than it is. It's going to require careful play on the part of the Votann. If I were doing it, I would go with the second option. I would probably put it on something very easy to kill, get the command points quickly, and not try to be efficient and just focus something that might not get focused. But cling to life and hope their certain demise won't hasten that of their allies. Now, where I would counterplay this is, like, let's suppose it's that sister squad. If I had some way to redeploy, I'd try to put the vulnerable, easy to kill squad on the home objective and keep the Votann well back. And if you can force them back to the third or fourth turn, or the fifth turn, you're going to reduce the impact of it. Still, with as rare as command points are going to be, this is something pretty good. Okay, Hearthkin Warriors. Now, Void Armor is gone, so these guys are a lot different than they were. So that means basically the whole Armor of Contempt that they had, which they called Void Armor, that's gone. And we're on something. They are movement 5 inches. They're still fairly slow. Toughness 5, save 4 up, wound 1, leadership 7, objective control 2. So they're pretty strong troops units. They the high toughness that puts them up there with custodians, but their save is not that, and terminators. The save is not that great. But in cover, that's going to move it to a 3 up, so they'll be about like a Gravis armor is right now, except there'll be only 1 wound. Leadership is not strong. 7 up is delicious. I like 7 up a lot. No, just kidding. 7 plus is better than 50% chance of making it, but not a lot better. So they could be really vulnerable to things that affect leadership. If we eventually get a detachment, say for Night, that is a Chaos one that's leadership oriented, like to be the Night Lords, I'm going to have fun with that on Votann. They got their bolt pistol, bolter, not all that different. Plasma beamer, sustained hits D3. All the beam weapons that used to draw the line, they now just get sustained hits. So you get D3 extra hits per 6. Strength 8, AP minus 3. That is good. That's better than a plasma gun, if I'm not mistaken. A little shorter range, though, only 18 inches. And the plasma pistol, it's only a 6-inch range. So this is almost like an Inferno pistol now, but not as damaging, but still pretty strong. High-las auto rifle. rapid fire 3, so you're going to get 3 extra shots in half range. So that'd be 6 shots. Yeah, this is strength 6, AP -1. This is a good anti-elite infantry. Highlights rotary cannon. This is the heavy one. And this leads me again to believe that hit modifiers are going to stack. Because you're going to get your +1 to hit, and that's going to bring it to 4 when you're stationary. This is a little bit better than the auto rifle, but I think I would probably take the auto rifle over that most of the time. Just first impressions. Ion blaster. Not particularly, but 18 inches. Attacks 1, damage 1. This is going to be good for dealing with mid-tier infantry like Battle Sisters. Probably a lot of the weaker demons, stuff like that. Ion pistol. Overall they do have pretty good AP for the troops options. They have some as high as -3, and with the lower AP overall, this is, I think, where your strength lies, is that you've got a lot of armor penetration in here. Ion pistol. This is their longer range pistol option. It's the plasma pistol, shorter range. Well, I mean the bolt pistol is, but that's your weak one. And the missile launcher blaster frags. This is, okay, not all that different from what we've seen with the missiles. Magna rail rifle, devastating wounds, auto wounding, or mortal wounds on a 6 that are equivalent to damage. This is heavy, so you're going to want to remain stationary to shoot this so that you get your 4 up. Strength 12, that's pretty darn strong. So you wound a land raider on a 4 with this. And if you look out and roll a 6, then you're getting D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. So that's how they're doing the spill effect. They got rid of that damage spill, and it just converts to mortals on a 6 to wound, which denies save. So that's good. This is a better way of doing it than the previous ignoring invulnerables way of doing things. It's combat weapon. There's nothing spectacular there. Kin melee weapon. This is probably going to be some kind of upgrade. I don't know if this will be for the sergeant or for the squad entirely. Let's see. Luck has need keeps tool earns. At the end of your command phase, when you use an objective marker, you control that objective. Okay, so it's sticky objectives here for these because they're troops. Very handy. They can get ignore cover with a pan-spectral scanner. Pan-spectral scammer. Sounds like a very versatile online scammer. Each time you target the bearer's unit with a stratagem, roll 1d6 on a 5. You gain 1 CP. Okay, so you can get CP refunds with these guys when they're subject to stratagems. They have a 6+ feel no pain from the meta pack. That's good. They don't just do that auto eating of wounds anymore on the medic, which was really irritating. That one didn't quite make my list of things they should get rid of. But I think it should have. The Zinch mark for the Chaos Marines, I use it all the time for the same reason, the eating a wound thing. But that costs 15 points, so that's a higher price to pay. And they can have, bearer has a 4+ influence, so presumably that can go on the sergeant. Okay. Yeah, you do have a lot of options, and I think they're pretty solid troops choice. This is one that I'll really need to see how the points work out to know how the value is going to be. These could potentially be really overpowered if the points are too low, or potentially be almost worthless if the points are too high. I hope that they're able to get the points right for Votann this time. Hecaton Land Fortress, the bane of my Votann game existence. Movement 10, toughness 12, save 2 up, wound 16, leadership 7, objective control 5. It's about like a Land Raider. It has the fire support like the Falcon does. It grants wound rerolls if it shoots at the same target that its infantry is shooting at. That's that combined with these guys, that would make these guys a lot more dangerous. You can fish for 6s and all kind of good stuff. Okay, ranged weapons have the ignore. It's gonna ignore cover again. I really wish they would get rid of that. That's gonna be. I don't like that because ignore cover, especially when it's on. I can kind of understand it on things like flamers because they're a torrent weapon, which I think is the right place for it. But when it's too prevalent, it renders the battlefield irrelevant. You're playing on Planet Bowling Ball then, or close to it, semi bowling ball, and it's just not It's really not fun. Uh, 1 to 5 wounds remaining each time this model makes an attack. Subtract 1 from the hit roll. Okay. So you're -1 when you're down to 5 wounds. It's up here on the stat line. The only thing I quibble is I think 10 inches is a little fast for this. I would maybe there's more like 9, but that's 1 inch. It's a minor quibble. Leadership is kind of low, so you could battle shock this thing. I think that may be the play here is try to battle shock these. Cyclic ion cannon blast, 24-inch range, D6 plus 3. Okay, pretty anti-elite infantry here, or regular infantry. That many shots. The heavy magna rail cannon. Okay, stating wounds rate. Ballistic skill 4 up. So you kind of want to keep it stationary. Otherwise, this thing has a good chance of missing. Now, as long as you don't have generating auto 6s on this thing again, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Warlords parking there and giving this an auto 6 to hit, and then it gets its automatic wound and ignoring everything. Okay, that's not going to fly. Hecaton Warhead, blast, indirect fire, 1 shot. You can only use this once per battle. I think this one, you have to swap this out with one of these, with this panspectral scanner, so I don't expect to see that a lot. People are going to go for that ignores cover. I don't see the point in a single shot weapon that's only going to hit. Yeah, I don't know what this is. It's only strength 7. I don't see what that's really useful for. MATR autocannon, 24-inch. Okay, pretty general purpose anti-infantry. Conversion beamer. Yeah, this is the sustained hits again. It's no longer going to do that weird beam thing where it hits everything in a line, which is good. That was a confusing ability. People were always confused about did it hit friendly units? There were weird rules interactions with that because you only target the unit you roll against, but then it would auto hit other things on the way, which was bizarre. 2 attacks, but then it could go up as high as 5 if you get your. Well, no, actually, I guess it could go as high as 8 if you got if you rolled boxcars on your attacks, and then you rolled 5s and 6s for your sustained hits. Yeah, you could potentially get 8 attacks out of this thing. Strength 10, AP -2 damage 4. That's going to be a very good anti-elite infantry light vehicle, and even some threat against heavier vehicles. And then twin bolt cannons, twin ion beamers. These aren't changed a lot. This is basically just a stronger heavy bolter. It's a shorter range one, a little stronger but shorter range. Armored wheels. Attack 6, weapon skill 4 up, strength 8, AP 0, damage 1. Okay, not actually too threatening. It is a big, heavy vehicle, so I definitely don't want to get run over by it. All right, so that's the land fortress. I think this will be the real key to balancing this weapon is not letting people just exploit 6s to bypass all of the variables and just get straight to dealing damage. There's no reason you should be able to get a 6 on a weapon like this automatically just by having a character next to it. Then get an automatic 6 to wound and then go straight to damage and ignore invulns and spill it all over a squad. That is just way too much. That distorts the entire army around this one stupid gun. And they could have balanced it easily by just getting rid of that silly ability on the call or whichever character was on. Okay, weapon highlight. Let's go on to this. Prize reliability over raw power. I don't care anything with quite the XS volcano can. Yes, they do. It's right up here. The heavy magna rail can. Well, maybe it's not quite that insane, but the volcano can is also on a super heavy. It's not for the Votann land fortress is not a super heavy. Let's see here. Well, it also has to hit several times. Once the beam has enough distance to focus. That is weird about Beamer, the idea of a beam that gets more focused with distance. That's very much the reverse of what we would expect from anything like a laser, where you'd get more dispersion very slowly, but you would get it as the beam got farther. Range 24 inches, attacks 1. Ballistic skill 4, strength 7, AP -1, damage 3. An attack with targets more than 12 inches from the barrel and unmodified successful 4-up hits. So critical, it gets its critical on 4-up. So it gets its sustained hits on a 4-up, but you have to be more than 12 inches away. If you're close to these guys, in half range, you're only getting your 1 shot. And you're only getting your, well, you can still get your sustained hits if you roll a 6, but when you're more than 12 inches away, you can get it on a 4. I'm not sure how to feel about these. I'm not playing Votann and don't plan to, I don't know how it's going to be to play against them. This is going to be something, though, that's really going to incentivize getting in close. And I think that's actually part of the thing with Votann in Ninth Edition is you have to get in close and you have to do it fast. And I have, unfortunately, mostly, well, I haven't been fast enough a lot of times. Let's just leave it at that. Reactive Reprisal, 2 CP. When your opponent shooting changes to stone with one or more tokens that as a result can shoot as if it were shooting. So this is a reaction. You have an opponent with Grudge Judgment tokens on it. Once it shoots you, you can shoot back. Okay, for 2 CP. That's definitely good. It's an interrupt. It's almost like an interrupt in the fight phase. The current one, the counter assault or whatever it's called, the one everybody calls an interrupt. This one is a shooting interrupt. I wouldn't mind having that. That's a pretty good stratagem. Yeah, and you can use it when target units of voting. So you could use this on the doggone land fortress and get an entire extra land fortress in your opponent's face. This is powerful. Now, 2 CP, that's a lot, but if they're getting the extra CP and getting CP refunds up here, I'm a little nervous about these guys. I am a little worried that, once again, they're going to... Individually, they won't be too broken, but the way the army consolidated rules are is going to result in some really overpowered combinations. Yeah, Gold Dust Army with major firepower and their impressive durability should models lives. So, we'll see. I think we're also going to have to see... Now, I'm looking at the other shooting army that we've seen so far. Astra Militarum. I don't see anything quite this devastating. On the other hand, Astra Militarum are supposed to be a horde army, and I think that Votann are supposed to be more in the semi-elite category. They're supposed to be about the same quality as Battle Sisters. So that's actually okay. We will really just have to keep a close eye on this as it comes out. What I don't like too much is the idea of you have Tau-like shooting and then also like Tau-like ability to evade damage in return. That's always been the problem with Tau, is not so much that they're shooting hoses you off the board. It's that when you do shoot back, they have endless piles of nonsense to stop you from actually doing anything. It's, oh, you've killed another of my, 60 drones. And you get to the end of the battle, yeah, I killed 60 drones, but I didn't kill a single other Tau unit. Exaggeration, but it often feels like that. Okay. Don't know what they really have. It looks like they don't have any books for Votann just yet. That's their tales for now, so they're going to probably... So you can't go buy books about the Votann just yet after a year. The rate these guys crank out books, you'd think you could. But that's it. I'm really trying not to be too cynical about the Votann, but my experiences with them have not been great so far. I think that may be more the nature of the person I was playing against with them, and who I'm not intending to throw shade at. He's not a cheater. He's not a bad guy, but he plays very, very competitively. And when you're playing against armies that are not necessarily designed with competition in mind, it might be a good idea to tone that down just a tad. But if you are a Votann player, I hope that you get a well-balanced army and do not suffer the often unfair targeting of other players for their anger at selecting an overpowered faction, because the faction is out there and it's meant to be played, and you should be able to play it and not be thought badly of or looked at askance because you chose it. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Again, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and click the notifications bell for more great content from Wilderness Wargaming, and I will see you again very soon.